Hi, this is Jim Schuett. We're going to do a video here on using the cost code table as your primary table. This is a solution that you can use when you have a problem that I'm going to explain right now. When using different primary tables, you have fields that connect to them and other tables. For instance, if you have the budget table and you use it as a primary table, then the items that will flow from that primary table in the budget primary table are budget related, meaning if you generate a report from the budgets using cost codes in the budget table, which it has, it's only going to show you data in cost codes that already have a budget number in that cost code. Let me explain the other version of this. Let's say you're using a job cost table as the primary table, and it has cost codes. If you use the primary table of job costs, then it is going to use or show data, only data that has job cost information in those cost codes. In other words, if you have a budget amount in a cost code, but there's no job cost info yet in that cost code, the job cost, the primary table won't show the budget data until some job cost data comes into that cost code. So really, if you are looking for a report that is going to give you job cost data and budget data on the same report without excluding anything, you have to go to the cost code table to do that. I think it'll become a little clearer when we get into this just a little bit. This won't be a long video, but this is a particular issue with Sage and trying to generate info out of Sage and still be able to get it done in a report. A lot of times you'll see reports, standard reports in Sage that come with Sage that do this, but they are marked non-modifiable, which means it couldn't be done, or they decided it shouldn't be done in the report writer module, but they wanted it in the Sage software, and so they had to write a program to do that. And so those programs aren't written in Report Writer, and they are not modifiable because they aren't in the Report Writer. And so how do we use, and what are the issues with using cost code as the primary table? That's what we're going to address right now. So let's go into a test report and take a look. Now, when you are in the cost code table, let's open this up as a modify, and you go to select the tables in your groupings. You come to find out that there's not very many things that you can use as groupings. You can use cost codes and divisions. Not much else is here. And if you look, now you have some takeoff and accounts receivables, but you have to be careful because they don't always connect the way you think they should, because they are connected here. Basically, if you figure that the grouping that you have available with a cost code primary table is divisions and cost codes, or just using cost codes. That's probably what you're going to get. That's it for grouping. And that's where one of the problems with using the cost code table is you're really restricted on the groupings. So that being said, let's X out of this and take a look at this report that I created. Now you can see there's a lot of data here, and it is a cost code primary table. And so how do we do that? Well, SQL statements are the rule there. And so anyway, I've got job is not listed as a group, and neither is division, and actually here neither is the cost code. But in the grouping, we do have division and cost code. Now, just because you have the groupings as two different fields, that doesn't mean that it has to show in your report. Now, I do have division here, and if I chose to show division, I would mark it as group 1, and cost code as group 2. And because job is not in either of those, if I want job to show, there's a couple of ways to do that. One is I can just add it to group 1, and it'll show every time you have a division heading show. Let's just take a look at that and see what will happen. You see I've changed these, so we'll take a look and see what happens here. So I'm going to make this 1C, mostly so we can preserve the view of each step as we've gone. Oop. That's not, I don't want BC, I want just C. 1C, okay. C. Okay, and the heading, I mean the title and the file name have to be identical using this method. So we're going to save, and I'll just go out to show you the list here. Okay, so now we have 1C. I'm going to take you back to 1B real quick and let you see what that looked like. Okay, so all we're doing here is seeing cost codes and data. Now let's go to 1C, where I added those two groups at the top and the job number. Okay, so yeah, I can get job number in there, but it does show up every time you've got a division. And if that's acceptable, then that works. The other option is to put the job and number and name in the report form that you use, and that's probably the better option. But we'll get to that shortly. And so here you've got group 1 divisions, and group 2 is each of the cost codes, and I haven't made it a separate name and then the data under it. I've just done it the way it is, as if it were like on a detail line. See, and that works. And so here you're going to be able to get all the budget information plus all the job cost information. Doesn't matter if there isn't budget information in the cost code or if there isn't job cost information in the cost code. So, and you can see there's extra spaces here, and this isn't part of the video, but I might just make it that way. Okay, let's see why here. Okay, it's just a wider gap here, and sometimes that's because this is lower. This is the void line if there's nothing in, no data in that row, and you don't want to show all the zeros. Let's take a look here. Now see, this is top 3. That's not too bad for placement on the row. It looked like it was about the same level, so I'm not sure why. Well, height is 27. That's the issue. Sometimes you don't have too much control over the height of some of these. So we'll leave that for now. But this is the void line thing, and what that says is basically if the total budget has data, or if the sub changes have data, or if the job costs have data, or whatever else is in the report, add all of those together, and if that's 0, then put a 0. If it's not 0, then put a 1. And what you do then is, up here, do not print the line if the value returned for this is 0. So basically, if none of these have any data in them, in that row, you put a 0 and then click this, and it won't show that line because there's no data there. You don't need to show it. And that's one of the parts, one of the reasons why I put let's get back here. It's one of the reasons why I put the cost code name on the same row as the data. That way it eliminates that line if all of this is 0, and I don't have to go up and eliminate a line up here that shows the cost code as well. Very simpler, much simpler and cleaner. So let's see. Yes, we were talking about the height. Now see, that one is at 4. That's really kind of high. I'm going to make that 2. That means, see, now it's gone up a bit. You can see these are lower. And it's also made the height, the depth, how tall it is, less. And so if I go, this is an iffy thing to do too. I see that maybe that's the only one that's causing this to be so high, so such a big row. Let's get this over here. Oh, that's it. Okay. So now I'm going to top. I think that did make things higher, not that one. So let's see what we can do with this one. That's what's causing this to be that way. So now it's at 2. Still has a 27. That's blanked out, so I can't change that. So the only thing I can probably do is take a look at which one this is. Hours, budget. Okay. Keep track of this, what I'm going to do, because this is a way to solve this issue of having such a big, deep row here. So that's ACTRAC, caret, and then hours, budget. Was that what it was? Hours, budget, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to take it out. And now I'm just going to put it back in. So hours, but oh, down here, yeah. Let's see, hours budget, there we go. Okay, now these are, what are these? 8. So I want this to be 8, not 9. Regular, that, right, and 12. And there. Now, if I bring this back down into here, it's the same as the others and not going to require that this is so deep. Now I just need to go up here to budget and click on that, and then come up here and align right. So this is lined up now with this. Yeah. And let's make sure that this and this are all back in sync there. Now we'll save. Go out, and maybe it has worked and maybe it hasn't. We'll see. Nope, didn't do anything. But we'll need to, and I didn't put the zeros because all these have zeros, so we'll have to do that. But anyway, you have to play with it. There might be another one out here that is also holding it open. So that's one of the ways to handle this when you come across it. And so adding or using the cost code as a primary table, solves some problems. It also creates some problems. It restricts you a lot with connecting to other tables because it doesn't connect to very many tables, even though there are a lot of tables that do have cost codes in them. So it's a solution with some complications. Anyway, that's probably enough said on this issue, but I just hope you understand why this is an issue, and having to use the cost codes instead of, let's say, a job cost table or a budget table because of how those work. So we'll leave it at that, and if you have questions, let me know. Be glad to work with you directly on this issue. So let me close out of this and say thank you very much for watching. That's what I have trouble with this all the time, trying to get this to stop. There we go.